Good morning, everyone. Today I want to discuss with you probably one of the most recognizable faces in all of manga, especially early manga, and that is Shotaro Ishinomori. And, the work that you've seen from him is probably stuff like this. The original Kamen Rider manga. This was released not too long ago by Seven Seas Publishing. And, it's got all the Ishinomori hallmarks. It's got the unique way that he draws faces. His figure work is pretty solid. None of it looks extremely, none of it looks extremely realistic, but it looks cool. Like, it's perfect. Like, these are perfect figures to have in motion. He can also show a range of emotions with his characters, and is like very accomplished at making them look how they should. And he's great at monsters. He's really good at monster designs as well. But we need to go a little bit further back. About Genma Tyson. This is about the same stuff. Nothing too different here. Though this is a little bit earlier. That Kamen Rider was 1971. I believe this was 1969. So, a little bit earlier. Just a little bit. Not too much earlier. You could still see Ishinomori on these pages. It's nothing too different. Maybe not as accomplished, that Kamen Rider is like a really good example of his powers, but with something like Genma Tyson, I was just about to say that it's not nearly there, but then I flipped to this amazingly composed page. But yeah, Genma Tyson, it's a pretty big one. Let's go a little bit forward again. 1975 with Sentai Go Ranger. This is the Shonen Sunday version, and this is basically on the same level as Kamen Rider. This is a snapshot in time of like Ishinomori fully grew into his style. This is the Ishinomori that people know and love, right? Like there's nothing too special or unique about this one, other than the fact that it's a very accomplished, gorgeous composition, very good inks, all the good shit. The stuff that people love. Now, let's go to 1964. Cyborg 009. Shinomori's, probably his most famous work. And, even just looking at something like this, this is also extremely accomplished. Like this is excellent. But, it still has those very Tezuka-esque figures. And it'd be quite some time before he fully grew into his own as a mangaka. But it's still very nice to look at, and, it still looks really good. Slightly later than that, Android V. About the same level. Not too much different from how Cyborg 009 looked. But you could still see those little nuggets of improvement. Especially since at this point, he was working very closely on 009. This is about a year later, after 009 started. So he was probably on the Cyborg 0011 arcs. And it's not the most amazing stuff, but it's not bad either. really nice. And so, why am I showing y'all all this? Well, I want to take you really far back. All I showed you up to that point was up to 1975. That was the most recent thing that I showed you. But I want to show you something from 1956 or 1957. And this is Hinotori Kazetaro. And this is the very first published work of Shotaro Ishinomori. Now, some of you may be calling bullshit, because many people know that the first technical published work under Ishinomori was his Astro Boy story, Electro. And you would be right. But this is his first solo work. And besides, Ishinomori didn't draw all that. Some of that was still Tezuka. However, this is completely Ishinomori. Obviously, this isn't an original. If this was an original, I'd be made of money. But this is a very, very nice reprint done in the box style that Shogakukan had been putting out around this time. And it even comes with this, a nice little collection of short stories that also includes Shotaro Ishinomori's very first manga. But I'm going to put this to the side for now, because I want to talk about Hinotori Kazetaro. So, for starters, let's just look at this beautiful presentation, right? You got this excellent samurai, you got this really nice fire, you got the phoenix coming through here, and then you look at the side. Of course, this is a reprinted Kashihon, the rental book. I've talked about them before, but this is one that actually tries to capture the look of Kashihon. And like the actual size of like what Kashihon really would be if you bought them back in the 50s. So without further ado, let's go ahead and crack this sucker open. So you got these beautiful end pages, and I mean, you know, you start off the best way possible with some amazing color. And wow, isn't that just beautiful? It's really something to go back this far and seeing just how accomplished everything already is. Of course, it's not to that, you know, it's not to the level of Cyborg 09 or Kamen Rider yet, but, you know, there's still those strong sensibilities, and, you know, and I think the color really helps that. The color really lends to, you know, the majesty and composition of these pages. Because look at this. This is excellent. This is really nice looking. And it's not the, like, it's really impressive. Ishinomori was 19 whenever this was released, okay? This dude was 1 year younger than me, and he managed to accomplish this. And that's pretty inspiring. I feel like I could do this if I really wanted to. And then we get into, you know, a little bit more, you know, placating. Something a bit more simple. But, you know, he's playing with the panels. He's continuing to play with the color. And, you know, it looks like a comic. It looks like manga. But something that you can notice right off the bat is that it's all very Tezuka. Which makes sense. Since, you know, he trained under Tezuka. And it's really interesting how it does all look very Tezuka, but it also looks Ishinomori. It looks early. You could tell that this is what Ishinomori is was growing from. because you could still get a sense that this work is by Ishinomori. It's hard to tell at first, admittedly, but, you know, the more of it you see, it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely Ishinomori, because this is not a Tezuka face. I know a Tezuka face whenever I see one. This isn't a Tezuka face. As you can see, he's taken a lot of shortcuts that, like, a lot of early mangaka would. And that's, of course, you know, not much in the background. Just flat color in the background. And, you know, sometimes that's what you gotta do to get the job done. This is a Kashihon. It had to be done pretty quickly. Had to be done in time to put it on the shelf for someone to rent. So, you know, kind of had to be quick with it. But even then, you got stuff like this. The very first artist cameo. Ishinomori's done a few artist cameos many times in his stories, and this is the first one. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then, you know, you got stuff like this. A really nice showcase of, you know, shadow. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty impressive. And then you got this owl, this kind of silly looking owl, but you can tell it's an owl. And Ishinomori draws a lot of birds and just various animals in this in this comic especially. And there's a rooster. And then after those 16 pages of color, we get to the single color printing in blue, which is what a lot of manga magazines are printed in. And you know, you get some of the very expressive manga stuff, like you have the hiragana coming out of the mouth, which I've seen done in, like, you know, many later works. And you know, you got a full range of emotion. You can always tell how these characters feel, even if they're kind of amateurly drawn. You can tell, like, what they are feeling, just like his later work. And there you go. There's your first appearance of the Phoenix. Very Tezuka Phoenix. I'm gonna say that right off the bat. It looks exactly like the Phoenix from the Tezuka Phoenix stories. But do what you know. And it works. It works perfectly well. Now, I'm just gonna preface, I don't know Japanese terribly well, to the point where I could read this thing. I probably could if I wanted to, but I probably wouldn't, you know, retain half of the story. But even at this age, Ishinomori tells the story with pictures very, very well. And while I'm not getting every single detail, I'm still getting something. And, you know, I think that's better than, you know, looking at something and not retaining anything from it. And another thing that I really want to mention is look at this girl right here. That's an Ishinomori girl. More than the main character is an Ishinomori guy, this is an Ishinomori girl. You know, this looks like Francois from Cyborg 009. The earliest version of her, but it still looks like her. She's still recognizable. And, you know, something I will dock points to Baby Ishinomori for is that these characters, they're not really doing anything. In the panels, they're not really moving too much. They're kind of just standing around. And, you know, that's... Alright, I have to stop for a second and discuss the single color printing right here in red. Love this choice. It's not often you get to see single color printing in red. It's very, very nice. Very, very cool looking. But yeah, like, it's not very interesting whenever the characters are just standing around. And, you know, that's true for any comic. But again, deadlines. Had to be quick. Had to get this out as fast as possible. And you know, even stuff like this wolf right here. It's a little scuffed, but it's a wolf. Same with this horse. Now that's actually a pretty good horse, like all things considered. That's comparable to Tezuka's horses. So like, young Ishinomori, he kind of had it down already. He just needed to work on certain things. Now you see, this is the part where I feel like Tezuka might have influenced him just a little too much. If you don't know, Tezuka had a penchant for drawing quote-unquote sexy animals, and that's kind of what Ishinomori does here with this wolf lady. Reminds me just a little too much of Bagi. Yeah, say what you will. I don't know what Ishinomori was into. I mean, he's made a manga about his sexual preferences before, so, but I haven't read that whole thing, or, like, I've only seen a few pages from it. He was probably into some weird shit, as most of the mangaka of this era were, and I respect it, but, yeah, this wolf lady is just something else, man. But, as you could see, you know, we're 44 pages in now, and, you know, this is already looking more exciting than this early stuff, because the characters are moving, they're talking to each other, there's more dynamic angles, you know, this panel right here especially, you got a lot going on in the background, and you got your character, in the foreground, he's expressing, you know, you're watching Ishinomori grow as you flip through this comic. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Single color printing in green this time. I don't like this one as much as the red. I think the red is really fucking cool, but the green is nice too. I think it's pretty nice, all things considered. And then it sort of goes to like this like turquoisey blue. I really like that. That's good. It's good color. There you go. There's a little bit of Ishinomori dynamicism for you. I really love this right here. This sort of this spiral like I don't know what you would call it, like a movement line? Speed line. Jesus. Yeah, speed lines. I really like the spiral speed line right here. To, like, show what our guy was doing. There you go. There's another Tezuka horse, as I call them, because that's basically just how Tezuka draws horses. This is a little bit less interesting, but, you know, he's getting a hang of it more. Now there's something pretty difficult. Having a character ride an animal. You know, you can draw animals all day. You can learn how to draw animals, but you gotta learn how to properly draw a person on an animal. And, you know, this right here, it's not bad for a 19-year-old with, like, almost no bones in the game. It's pretty impressive. Though this is a little confusing. I'm not really sure what's going on right there. We're getting more dynamic angles. We're getting close-ups. We're bringing the camera back. It's not just two characters next to each other. It's one character in the foreground, one in the background, talking to each other like it's in a movie. You know, you could just see the things are improving as we go along. Here's this character, this very like Disney-esque tree, something that probably was inspired by Tezuka. And you know, this is really nice. You got the way this scene moves, and then you transition to the water, where you see this girl being formed in the water as she's looking down. this is really accomplished. This is something special right here. I couldn't do this. I might be able to do most of what's here if I wanted to, but this is difficult. This is very difficult. It is hard to draw, you know, this sort of effect in the water. And, you know, I salute 19-year-old Ishinomori for that one. Kind of messed up on the eyes right here. Gave her the same eyes as your guy. And then, you know, we're back to the this is less of a blue, more of like a purple single color printing. But like, look at this. This is a really nice sequence right here. You got this sort of stampede going on. You got our guys over here. You got the smoke from the stampede, and then you got this really angry looking dude. Really nice little sequence right there. And then it gets even better, because you got the hiragana in the mouth again, and then you see this dude fucking fall off this cliff. And, you know, everyone looks really surprised. And you could tell that they're surprised. You could tell that they're like, what the fuck just happened? It's great. It's really good. That right here is really nice, too. All these arrows going this way. You know, it's easy to draw an arrow, but it's hard to draw arrows in the sense of, like, you know where they're heading. And, you know, I can perfectly tell where these arrows are heading. Also, apparently, this wolf, on top of being, you know, able to talk, apparently they're also magical. They got, like, some sort of powerful breath that shoots these arrows back at the dudes. This has a little bit of comedy in it, too. You know, pretty big hallmark of Ishinomori works as well. We got another title page. And we got more of this Ishinomori girl. She's growing more and more into just looking like Francois, and I find that really fun. Also, I didn't notice that. Oh, shoot. Didn't mean to do that. I didn't notice it, but she's the girl right here on the spine. Pretty interesting. So, yeah, he's playing a little bit with angles here, you know, just trying to make the scenes not look boring, and, you know, that's something that should be strived by all comic artists, I think, is, like, keep it interesting. Even if they're just standing and talking, you need to keep everything moving. And, you know, I feel like, oh, that's a catalog. You know, you need to keep things, keep your audience interested. And, you know, we're 80 pages in now. You could just see that even though we're still reading the same thing, you could just tell that Ishinomori is growing. He's becoming greater and greater. And, you know, his power is being doubled because he's working on a complete novel. And, you know, I think that's a great way to really get started. Is yeah, drawing little comics is great, but if you really want to show the best of your ability, try to distill it into, like, let's say 105 pages. Just try to get something off the ground. You'll be amazed by how much you can really manage, and you could just see your improvement. Another really nice little sequence here, where, you know, you have this very movie angle, and then, you know, bring the camera back, bring it behind the wolf, just keep it interesting. And you have our guy meeting this character, who we saw earlier. And this is a little boring, you know. Again, they're just kind of standing around talking, but, you know, flip the camera behind our guy, flip the camera in front of her, you know. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. You gotta be quick with it. There's a sequence in here that really surprised me whenever I first got this thing, and I want to try to get to it. But first, let's take a look at that. That's really nice. I love that. And look at these horses. Person riding a horse. Even harder than trying to draw someone riding a wolf. And you know what? He manages. Ishinomori totally manages it. Looks good. Looks really good, actually. That's really good. Seeing the wolf from under, and then everyone else, like, pushed way back. It's very cinematic. That's something I will say. Like, a lot of the composition of these panels is a lot more cinematic than it is, like, you know, your run-of-the-mill comic. And I can really appreciate that, especially whenever there was stuff coming out from other people around this time that was just not nearly as inclined. But the Kashihan era was really something special. There's so many calibers of comics that came out during the Kashihan era that is just something truly to marvel at. You got this talking toucan. Or maybe it's a crow. I think it's a crow, actually, not a toucan. I saw the beak and I thought it was a toucan. There's this little bug creature. And, you know, it's shorthand, but, you know, you could tell that it's supposed to be a bug of sorts. Sitting on this nose. This right here is the only other time where I'm just kind of like, what's it doing? It's putting something on his face? It's really hard to tell. Alright, yeah, okay. Looks like he was just waking up. That looked a bit strange. Look at that. We're flip-flopping between the coloring, going from turquoise to green, back to this purple. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. Look at all these heads. That's really nice. This looks like it would be in, like, manga, that, the Frederick Schott book. Like, I could see this as just, like, you know, bottom of the page or something. Yeah, here's the page. Okay, so, at 19 years old, you know, most of this is, like, pretty, it's kind of simple, but it's still impressive. This right here is just straight up impressive. Like, how did he do this? How did he manage something like this? This is amazing. This is, like, I was truly flabbergasted whenever I got to this page. This is page 118 and 119 of this story. And just look at it. It's fucking amazing. Like, and, you know, Ishinomori, he could draw pretty good crowds. I'll say that much. But I didn't realize it went back this far. I didn't realize he was this accomplished in drawing crowds this early. It's truly something spectacular that he was able to manage that. And then you flip the page again, and it's even crazier. Like, you know, we get even closer. We get all these dialogue bubbles. Like, how did he do that? How did he manage something like that? I want to know his secrets, man. That's a classic right there. Getting electrocuted while holding the sword. I feel like that was probably taken from a Tezuka manga, but it's good. It's really good. And, you know, even though we're wrapping it up, keep it interesting. Keep it moving. And then, this nice little panel right here. Copyright 1956, 910, Shotaro Ishimori production. Even this early on, he still had that whole Ishimori production thing going on. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. What an accomplished work from such an excellent creator. So, now that we've taken a look at that, let's talk about this real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I do want to talk about this right here, which is Ishinomori's actual very, very first manga. This predates his Astro Boy stuff by about a year or two. And this is probably where the it being Ishinomori is, that's something that isn't nearly as obvious. This looks like, this doesn't look like Ishinomori. It doesn't look like Tezuka either. I don't know what it looks like, but it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. This character looks like it came from like a 40s Disney cartoon. I love the experiment with American lettering as well. Very, very nice. Adventures of Peen, Second Class Angel. Story is very short. It's only about 4 pages. But look at all these panels. This is really, really interesting. Because if you looked at the last thing that we took a look at, and even his later works, he doesn't usually work with this many panels. He really, he was really stuffing everything into I'd say like 5 to 8 panels or less. But this is really interesting to me. And you still got some of that stuff that he was playing with in his Hinotori, like you got the shadow, you got the really good expressions, and again, while it doesn't fully capture that look that we're used to, it's still something pretty excellent. Yeah, there you go. Copyright 1954. And then, as I said, this book has some other short stories in it. This is Ishinomori. Like, this is whenever he's fully grown, and these fucking backgrounds. It's amazing seeing that really early work where there's like very few to no backgrounds, and then you see work like this where it's backgrounds are aplenty, and they're all gorgeous. They're all really excellent looking. You got this snowstorm going on, and like again, the abundance of panels. This looks like that girl from Hinotori, just looking a bit different. And it might just be the idea of the star system might have even been in effect this early on. And this is still 50s. This is 1956, I'm pretty sure. But like, look at this. Look at that mountain. That's beautiful. Look at the hatching on that mountain. That's fantastic. Just, it's amazing. Like, what a few years can do for you. And then some sort of Yukihime, some snow spirit. But again, working with lots of panels, which is very, very different from most Ishinomori works. But it's very nice. It's very pleasing to the eye. Running out of things to say, because it's just, you see the work. You see how beautiful it is. That's excellent right there. That's very nice. Reminds me of like a Dumez page. It's good stuff. This story's a lot longer, as you can tell. There you go. There's something a little bit earlier. How early was this one? This was 1957. Okay, so 1 year before the last story that we just saw. That was 1958, which I falsely said it was the 60s. My bad. But there you go. Even a year earlier, it's just amazing seeing the progress. But you still see the Ishinomori in it. I love that expression. That's a good expression. Playing with flipping around the camera. You can tell that Ishinomori, like, even though it's not mentioned much about the man, I could tell that he probably loved movies quite a lot. And, you know, he wanted to make comics like movies. So you could just see him flipping around the camera. Oh, shit. The early first appearance of that one Ishinomori caricature. That's amazing. Wow. Just beautiful stuff. And then you got, like, this sort of, this very, like, folktale inspired, like, demon character. Reminds me of something that you'd see in Go Ranger. Ain't that just excellent? And then, you know, there's a bunch of, there's a nice little essay at the end here, which of course I can't read. So, after that, after seeing all this, if you have a comic idea that you've been wanting to get off the ground for a very, very long time, don't be discouraged. No matter what age you are, you can make comics. And, you know, if one of the greatest of all time can do it, you can too. You can create something just as good as he did. Because he did this at 19 years old. That's pretty impressive, don't you think? He managed that at 19 years old. So why can't you? And that's really the lesson that I want you to take away from this video. While also looking at a man at the height of his powers learning to be this, and this. And improving as you go along. And that's the beautiful thing about making comics, is that you continuously improve as you go along. And that will about do it for this great video. I don't know if it's great. You judge that, but that'll do it for this video that I really, really wanted to do ever since I got myself a copy of this. I know no one made a video about this particular thing ever, so I wanted to be the first. And so I'm setting a pretty low bar, but if anyone else wants to make a video on this thing, probably someone who can actually read the story, that'd be really cool too. But as it stands, I'm just really happy I got to cover the very first, like, major published work from, you know, probably my favorite mangaka of all time. And with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go and try to find a copy of Hinotori Kazetaro for yourself. Thank you, and goodbye.